Hello there and welcome back to another episode of Gear Toward Gear. My name is Sean and I'm so glad you're here. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe for future content. Also, check the description. You'll see all my social media accounts there, specifically Facebook and Instagram. That's where I do most of my social media, posting previews on upcoming videos and maybe in the future some exclusive content and or giveaways. And in case you're wondering, today's EDC is the Gonzo FH21 that was gifted to me by a viewer, John, and there will be a full review coming on this shortly. But today we're here to talk about a knife from Ontario Knife Company, and this will be pretty brief. It's kind of a no-frills knife that I picked up on a whim, so let's get into it. So this is an Ontario Knife Company brand knife. So you can see they're kind of billboarding the fact that it's been in business since 1889, and this is the model Wraith. And Wraith, the word Wraith just means ghost or ghost-like. I saw a video on this knife a number of months back. I want to say it was, I'm almost certain it was Gideon's Tactical who did a review on this. And so I picked one up. It was kind of one of those things where I was on Amazon looking at knives and it was one of the recommended knives, and I fall for that sometimes. So picked it up. It is a Taiwanese produced knife and it costs $18. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. The overall length is going to be 6.5 inches, and it's got a 2.6 inch flat ground drop point blade in a satin finish. And I just like the aesthetics of it. The overall design, kind of the clean lines, classic blade shape is kind of what spoke to me. Another interesting thing about this knife is the blade steel. It's one that I had never tried before, and if I can get in close, you can probably see the blade steel here is going to be 1.4116. That is the blade steel. It's a German steel. It's got a Rockwell hardness of between 57 and 59, and it's going to land somewhere between like an AUS 8 and a D2 from what I've read and other reviews that I've seen. So relatively hard steel. It's going to hold a decent edge, and it has, in my use, cut up a bunch of cardboard, some straps, some zip ties, and stuff like that, just basic stuff. It's held up well. It may take a little work to get that edge reprofiled if you need to, but apparently it's a pretty decent steel, the German 1.4116 stainless. It has plastic handles, no frills, just plain old plastic, very smooth, not much texture. And there are no liners to speak of, which I wouldn't expect on a knife at this price point and this weight. This knife comes in at 1.65 ounces, which I think is why they chose the name Wraith or Ghost, in that it's ghost-like. It's so light that it just disappears. So no liners. In addition, there are no washers or bearings to speak of. So this knife is going to be riding just plastic on steel. So the action is not smooth necessarily. It's not difficult to deploy, whether you want to just kind of roll it open in a less aggressive manner, or if you want to use the thumb studs to open it. It's going to open just fine, and I'm failing right now around the tripod, but it does snap out pretty, it's got a pretty pronounced deployment once you use those thumb studs. But it's just not super smooth, having no liners, or I'm sorry, no bushings or washers. But it is what it is at that price point, so I don't really have a huge issue with that. It is fully ambidextrous. As you can see, the thumb studs are dual, right? So you got dual thumb studs, one on each side. And the pocket clip is reversible. So it comes in the right-handed tip-up configuration. You can swap that clip to the other side if you left-handed folks out there. I know sometimes you guys get the short end of the deal on a lot of knife designs, so it is left-handed friendly, so that's nice. It's going to be tip-up only, but you can swap it right or left. The pocket clip itself is interesting, kind of odd. It's recessed into the actual frame of the handle, which is kind of neat. And you can probably see where this filler screw is currently on the other side, how it recesses in there. But the shape of it's kind of odd in that you've got this kind of almost 45-degree angle on the business end that would clip onto your pocket. And I've heard reports of, people saying it's gonna, you know, scratch up your car or things like that. And I've carried it for about 4 days. I've been in and out of my car dozens of times, around the house, in jeans and sweatpants. It's not been an issue. You could obviously take the clip off if you wanted to and bend that, grind it down, take it off completely and just carry it in the bottom of your pocket. But for me, I'm just gonna leave it as is because I don't think it's a huge issue. The fit and finish is what you would expect from an $18 knife. It's not perfect, but it's certainly acceptable. The blade centering is dead center on my example. If I can get the lighting a little better here. Dead center, so nothing wrong with that. We talked about the clip. Ergonomically, I actually like it quite a bit. So you got this kind of not super generous, but kind of a medium-sized forward finger choil. It's a 3-finger knife for me in my extra large hands, but it's not uncomfortable whatsoever. Really feels locked in there, even with that kind of weird shaped clip. I don't feel any hot spot. It kind of naturally rests in a natural void in my palm. And so it's quite comfortable for me to hold in my hand. So I don't have any issues with the ergonomics. They do kind of taper it in towards the front here, which would be good for kind of a pinch grip with your thumb and forefinger, or your middle finger and thumb if you wanted to do some detailed work for whatever reason, you know, slice an apple or something. So ergonomically, I'm perfectly fine with it. Fit and finish is acceptable for an $18 knife. And yeah, it's just a no frills, kind of just basic, simple design, but I dig it. I like the size, I like the weight, and that's the OKC Wraith. And so I do have a question for you guys. Ontario Knife Company is primarily known for their fixed blades and the Rat series of folders. This is a Rat Model 1 in D2 with these kind of fake carbon fiber scales. But my point is that OKC is generally known for the Rat series and their fixed blades. My question is, are there any other Ontario Knife Company blades that you own or have handled that you really dig, other than the fixed blades and the Rat series? Because this is my first OKC knife that's not a fixed blade or a Rat. And I'm perfectly happy with it. The edge is held up over the last few days. Could probably use a stropping, but I'm just curious if there's any other Ontario Knife Company blades out there that you guys particularly like. So that's it. Kind of a quick down and dirty on the OKC Wraith. Again, please do subscribe if you're a first-time viewer. Check my description for all of my social media posts, and be advised that there's going to be a few videos coming in the next several days. There are going to be knife reviews, and 3 to be exact. And at that point, we'll probably switch gears and do some more medical stuff, or maybe a flashlight or something like that. But a few other knife reviews coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.